There is one simple hack that you can start implementing today to look better as a man, more handsome and more attractive. And what I'm going to tell you isn't some kind of cringe looks maxing technique. It's not some kind of product I'm going to tell you to buy. This thing that I'm going to tell you is simple, it's natural, and even better, it's completely for free. And it's not the sun, by the way, although the sun might help you. This thing that I'm going to tell you is none of those things, okay? This thing I'm going to tell you, I will tell you in a second. I'm just building it up, This thing that I'm going to tell you, this is done by the men who women consider to be the most attractive of all time, okay? No homo, but almost every man who does this will look better if they do this one thing. For me personally, I really elevated my own looks when I look at old photos of myself, and we're gonna have a look at those in a moment. Doing this one thing really changed my appearances. I wish I'd known this sooner, which is partly why I want to make this video today. So, what is this thing that I am building up so much that is so amazing? Well, let me tell you how I found it. I was recently on a call with Ty Lopez. He's one of my mentors.
What's up, Oscar?
And he told me to Google most attractive men. Now, if you're brave enough to Google most attractive men, you'll see that almost all of them have one shared trait. If you look at young Brad Pitt, Zac Efron before his face surgeries, James Dean, Marlon Brando, Jared Leto, all of these guys, most of them have slightly longer hair. So women in general seem to be more attracted to men with longer hair compared to those with short or no hair. And the science actually agrees with this. There are studies showing that women rate men more attractive when they have slightly longer hair compared to those without. Even if you're uncomfortable admitting it, or you want to pretend it's not true, our hair is one of our most important features. Some guys can pull off that bald look, and if you're one of those lucky guys, that's great. But for the rest of us, including myself, that might not be what you want to hear, but it's a harsh reminder of what we knew all along. What we can see with our eyes when we look at photos of guys with long hair compared to those without, the longer hair usually makes them look a bit more youthful, a bit more vibrant, maybe a bit more individual, you could say, a bit more character to them, a bit more interesting. And the opposite of this is that army boy haircut, no individuality. Every man looks the same, kind of like a monk. You don't stand out. You could say it looks a bit more simple. And of course, if you go one step further, having zero hair is associated with being very sick, or like a monk, someone that's isolated themselves from life. To give you another funny example, you can take a nice, good-looking girl and you shave off all of her hair. Most people will say that she's less attractive. Now, I'm sure some of you freaks watching this might like that, but most of us, we're going to say the girl with long hair looks better than the girl with no hair. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures here. I'm going to put them up on the screen of myself, and you can see the difference it makes just by growing out your hair. I used to keep this short haircut, especially on the top, and I never really understood why it didn't look that great until I grew out my hair, and then suddenly my hair started to look much better. Anyway, I don't want to look at photos of dudes all day long, but in a nutshell, just by growing out your hair, you're probably going to look better. Maybe 1, 2, even 3 points could be possible just by growing out your hair, obviously if you style it correctly as well. So I'm going to tell you some tips for how to do that in a moment. But first, I want to acknowledge some of the downsides of having longer hair, because it's not all positive. There are some negative aspects to it. So the first thing, it's not as practical to have long hair. It gets in your eyes, it's annoying whilst doing sports, you might have to use a hair dryer, things like that, right? There are some downsides to that. Now the return is all of the upside that you get from looking better. More attention from girls, probably a better personal brand, more memorable look that you might have, and so on, things like this. Now for me, those downsides are well worth it for the upside of having longer hair on the top. So let me give you some practical tips today so you can start to grow out your hair. And this is based on my own experience having grown out my hair and it really improving my appearances, but also helping many thousands of guys now to improve things like hair loss, slow hair growth, etc. So I'm very well versed in this topic. So here's some advice for you. First thing is to let it grow. There might be some kind of awkward phase. Just trim the sides, do not trim the top, let it grow. For that awkward phase, if it comes, you can just embrace it. Rock some hats, it will be over soon, or at least it should be if your hair is growing quickly enough. Then you want to avoid any kind of chemical shampoo, chemical topical products, using unfiltered shower water. All of these things could actually make your hair weak, could make your hair dry out and fall, and it might not look very good as it is growing. So I avoid all of those things that I listed. I avoid a lot more things, but I'm going to keep it simple for this video. To give you some tip for growing hair faster, you really need to change your diet, okay? Something simple you can start doing today is just start eating more meat. Sometimes I forget how little meat people eat. They say, oh, I eat loads of meat, and I kind of verify it, or I ask them in a bit more detail, and they're like, yeah, I eat half a pound or 300 grams, it's 10, 12 ounces of meat a day. It's like, those are rookie numbers. You can really bump it up, and you should start to notice a big difference happening in how fast your hair grows, even how your hair looks. More protein, more nutrients in the meat, even some more fats there is going to give that hair that natural glow to it. So just by changing your diet, you can improve how quickly your hair grows. Of course, there's a lot more things that I could say. nutrition options, different topicals that you can use, removing the toxins that damage your hair from inside of your body, not just from the outside, but from the inside. For the sake of this video, we'll keep it simple. Now, if you're like most guys watching this video, you are going to be struggling with hair loss. Unfortunately, that is the reality of the world that we live in today. Almost every guy is having hair loss. Now, if you are, and you want to change that, if you want to fix it, and you're motivated to do it naturally without taking the medications, then there is a link for you in the description of this video. I have a proven system that has worked for thousands of guys now to see real and tangible improvements in their hair. Reducing hair loss, reducing hair thinning and shedding, feeling more confident as they look better, their hair looks better, they can grow their hair faster, and getting so many benefits from that with relationships, with their business, with their personal brand, whatever it is that people want. It's easier if you look better, and your hair is key for looking better. So there is a link for you in the description. Check that out. As long as you're motivated and willing to invest in yourself, then that link could be very interesting for you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.